Well, welcome back to the channel. Today you join me at a place that I've only just recently discovered. I mean, in actual fact, it's the first time that I've been here. It's a place called Fredville Park, and it's kind of located near Snowdon, Dover area in Kent. I believe the land is privately owned but has public rights of way and bridle paths through it, and you can see currently just walking along this bridle path surrounded by sheep, and I believe this park is known for some of the really old trees that it's got, and apparently there is a oak tree which is believed to be the oldest oak tree in England. I'm not exactly sure whereabouts on the estate that is, but we're going to have a wander around, see what we can find, with a view to maybe finding just a lone tree. You got this tree here, which is quite nice, and it's trying to make some sort of composition out of it. It's a bit rainy, cloudy, not a lot of detail in the sky at the moment, but with a soft ND, maybe I can pull something out of the sky. But at the moment I'm just wandering around, getting a feel for where we are, and hopefully come up with an image or two. For this first shot here, I've got the tripod set up really low to the ground, and I'm shooting this tree here, landscape orientation. I got the 17 to 40 f4 on, currently at about 28mm. And I believe the shot was at f8 ISO 100 for 1/40th of a second, and for that I also used a 3-stop soft grad, just to try and bring down this sky and pull some detail out of the sky, and a circular polarizer, because where it's been raining there is a bit of glare on this grass. To be honest, it doesn't really seem to be making too much difference, but I think it might saturate the colours a little bit anyway. Just thought that was quite nice. I'm not sure if the image is picking it up, but there's, I don't know, half a dozen sheep taking shelter underneath that tree, and I just thought it was quite a nice image. It's lovely and peaceful out here. This is a lovely tree here that I've just noticed. This one here, such a nice shape. Might try and get a slightly longer lens on and maybe have a shot of that one as well. I've just been wandering around and come across this tree, which is absolutely massive, but I'm just noticing the trunk of the tree, and it's got all this twisted, gnarly bark that has obviously been taking hundreds of years to develop, and with the way the light is shining on it, it's actually bringing out the texture really nice. So I think I'm going to try and capture a close-up image of the trunk of this tree, see how that comes out. But it's a lovely tree. If anybody knows what it is, then drop a comment in below and let me know. But it's lovely, massive tree. Scale, I can't really do it justice, but yeah, beautiful tree. Well, I think I've managed to get an image of this trunk. I'm just kind of concentrating on this area really. I just like the way that this part of the trunk is where it all kind of seems to stem from, and everything kind of branches out from there, if you so to speak. I've cropped it in quite close. I am at about 50mm on the 24-105. I've shot it at ISO 100 f11. Gave me an exposure time of 0.8 seconds, no filters, and I'll put that one up on the screen for you now. Well, I've been wandering around Fredville Park for a little while, and I think I've come more or less to the end of the grounds. I walked right through and come through to a gate up at this end which takes you back out onto the main road. So I'm assuming that's kind of the end of their land. Right at the end here I've come across this tree and this log. They've obviously felled a couple of trees and then just left the logs here, and I believe the sheep here have been using it as a bit of a scratching post, but it makes for quite a nice image as a bit of foreground for this tree. So that's what I've done. I've got this framed up with the log in the foreground and the tree in the background. I was ISO 100 f11 for 1/6 of a second, and that was with the 3-stop soft grad to try and control the sky a bit, and I left the circular polarizer on, which again doesn't really do a lot, but I think it kind of saturates the colours a little bit more. But hopefully that's come out quite nice. I have focus stacked it just to be sure. I'm not sure I'm going to need it, but I did put a focus point on this log, one on the tree, and if need be I'll merge them in Photoshop afterwards. But yeah, it's quite a nice scene. There's a bit of texture in the sky now coming out, so hopefully we can make something of it. But it's a nice walk round here, and I think I've seen one other person who currently is just walking along this path here that you probably can't even see. But other than that, there's not been a soul around. It's beautiful, so peaceful, and the trees are really nice, but I'm having trouble trying to find a tree that's isolated enough that you can just isolate that tree alone. The backgrounds do seem to be quite busy with other trees, etc. So, you know, I've not found the shot yet, but still with an enjoyable walk this afternoon. Well, I was just making my way back towards the car and come across this tree. I didn't really notice it, I don't think, on the way past, but it's just a really nice shape. And although there are one or two trees around it, what I've decided to do is to crop this as a square crop, and I've used the crop function on the camera here, just to show what it would look like as a one-to-one square crop. But I think in post you still have the option to have the full image and then crop it in post later on. This is ISO 100. It was f11 for 1/4 of a second, and again that was using the circular polarizer and the 3-stop soft grad. Well, this tree that I photographed earlier on with all the detail in the bark, which is here, I'm just on my way back, and I'm doubting myself now, but whether or not that is the actual oak tree that they reckon is the oldest one in England. I mean, the girth of that trunk certainly looks like it's possible. So I've taken a couple of images of that tree, just looking back at it from this direction. You've got one of the branches on the right hand side, which is still attached to the trunk, and I just think that's how it's grown. There's another trunk higher up which looks like it's losing a bit of the bark, and whether that's actually dying off I'm not sure, but it's actually being suspended by another piece of wood that they've got holding up that branch, just to try and stop it deteriorating anymore. I've just been for a long exposure shot of this, and that was a 120-second long exposure, but there's not an awful lot of movement in them clouds, so I may not stick with the idea of a long exposure. Just a couple of normal images of that tree, and I'll put them up on the screen for you now. It's not the best light, it's not the best conditions, but it's just a lovely place up here, and again, in the right conditions I'm sure it could be very nice. Not the easiest place to get to from where I live. There's a few really narrow lanes that you had to come up to get here. Now, whether or not there's alternative routes, I don't know. I was just blindly following the sat nav, and that's where it brought me. It got me here. It's got to get me home yet. I think that might be it now from Fredville Park here in, well, it's near Snowdown, Dover area, Kent. It's quite a nice location, very picturesque, lots of very historic trees, but unfortunately I couldn't really find anything that I could manage to separate from the background to make a nice lone tree image. But I've got one or two images I think which I'm quite happy with. I quite like the texture in the bark of that tree, which I'm more or less sure was an oak tree. May even have been the oak tree. But thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed one or two of the images, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing And if you could hit that like button, it would be much appreciated. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then.